Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for appearing before the subcommittee today. One of my greatest missions here in Congress is to advance policies that protect our God-given right to life. As a strong advocate for the lives of the unborn, I also recognize the importance of supporting life-affirming alternatives, such as adoption, for those who may be considering abortion. Every child deserves a chance to live, and we must champion policies that give children the stability of a permanent, loving family. Even decades after the passage of the Adoption and Safe Families Act, which invests billions of federal dollars in adoption support, it's estimated approximately 120,000 eligible children are still waiting to be adopted. The median time a child spends in foster care before being adopted is about 31 months, as I understand it, an outcome that remains still unacceptable. As we consider the state of adoption in our country, I appreciate your commitment to serving our nation's children by helping them find safe and permanent homes. I look forward to discussing how we can strengthen and support adoption efforts nationwide. Ms. Marshall, faith-based adoption providers play an essential role in identifying and supporting families for adoptive and foster children. However, many state and local governments have restricted these organizations from offering adoption and foster care services due to their sincerely held religious convictions, often through discrimination laws or administrative rules. What should be done to protect faith-based providers so that they can continue their important work?
I believe so many people are called from a faith standpoint to serve the demographic that we're talking about today. But I can tell you there's also a breakdown in that. We have several teen moms and babies that are placed in our custody, judges that place those young ladies and their babies with us directly because we would guarantee that we could keep mom and baby together. I think we have a disconnect. I think we have a faith-based community that will rally on Sunday to do the right thing and convict these young ladies on Monday for doing it. I don't think we have a continued support system, a continuum of that. To me, I believe a person's faith drives them to do more. I don't think any organization should face backlash because of that. But I do believe sometimes that those personal values might overstep a little bit. For us, what I mean by that is we are very intentional of meeting our children where they are, and we understand the backgrounds where they come. We don't force any views or any positions on the children that we serve, and we respect them. I think I would say as a believer, I have to get out of my comfort zone every day and understand the trauma and the hell that the kids that we serve come from. Do they need Jesus? Yes, but sometimes they just need a roof over their head and a warm meal before we can even start to talk about their salvation.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that. State and federal governments spend billions of dollars annually towards supporting the adoption process, but prolonged adoption placement continues to be a problem. In your experience, how has shifting towards a privatized model of adoption in the state of Alabama been successful in helping children secure a permanent home in a timely manner?
So we had a situation where a birth mom was in a homeless shelter and voluntarily placed her child with us because she was facing drug addiction. Our team tried to work with that mom so she would have the resources to overcome the addiction. She chose not to participate. She was very proactive in the placement, and so I have nothing but respect for that birth mom. She did ask our foster parents at that initial meeting, if I can't or don't get my life together, will you adopt my child? And the foster parents said yes. So we gave the mom 6 months when she showed us continually that she did not want to participate, that she did not want to work on her addiction. We then moved to a position of permanency. Within a year and a half, we had gone through the traditional court system, worked with the judges through the juvenile court to get termination of parental rights handled, and then on to the probate court in our state for the adoption to be handled. And again, that from day one to permanency was a year and a half. And that's with our team actively working to support the birth mom when she wanted to and the foster parents when she didn't. I can tell you that every other situation that we've been in with adoption with the state-run system, it has been years, plural. The fact that we were able to get this accomplished in a year and a half working through the appropriate system should be the model of what our children deserve with the permanency in adoption.
Thank you. One last question, and this is for Ms. Font, Dr. Font. Adoption stigma for pregnant women and the lack of accurate adoption information seems to persist across our country. What efforts are currently underway or should be taken to better support awareness of adoption? Your microphone.
Yes. So I'm not sure how to think about the idea of awareness efforts. I do think it's the case that, we've seen situations where there are moms who don't feel like they can safely parent their child and they want to make a different choice and are essentially discouraged from making that choice. Judges will continue to order reunification efforts even when a mom says, I'm not going to continue doing this, or I don't think this is a good idea for our family. And so I do think that stigma has really made it difficult for moms to feel good about the choice that they want to make. And so I think that's a workforce training issue, a judge training issue, more so than a general public problem. Thanks.
Thank you, and I yield. First, I want to address the One Big Beautiful Bill. You know, the Medicaid, the focus on Medicaid was to protect the most vulnerable in the One Big Beautiful Bill by making those who are able-bodied adults non-working to work. All right, that's what saved the money in Medicaid. All right, it wasn't to take any sort of support away from the most vulnerable. It was to shift it back to the most vulnerable from those who were taking it away from the most vulnerable. That's what the One Big Beautiful Bill did. And then also you have the $5,000 adoptive tax credit was made refundable in the One Big Beautiful Bill. So House Republicans, we successfully passed a provision in the One Big Beautiful Bill that allows the $5,000 of the adoptive tax credit to be refundable, supporting more families who step up to adopt. So my question is, and this is for all of you, what impact has making this tax credit refundable had on supporting adoption? I mean, if you want to address it, please do.
Yeah, I will. I think that research generally suggests that the adoption tax credit is not super effective in getting children adopted, in part because states and the federal government actually done quite a bit to make adoption from foster care very affordable. I think it has probably a larger impact on private, domestic, or international adoptions. But in many states, the cost of adopting a child from foster care is already zero. So cost is just not the primary barrier that I think kids face in finding families.
So what is?
Workforce and judges, frankly. Children are just sit in foster care for years before adoption even is considered an option for them.
Okay. Anyone else want to address the tax credit?
Yes, CCAI serves as the secretary to the Adoption Tax Credit Working Group and has done that for years. And we've been working with nearly 100 nonpartisan organizations and working towards making adoption more accessible and removing financial barriers. And so want to say that, yes, the Adoption Tax Credit supports all forms of adoption. And if financial barriers is a barrier, helping remove that for families to make it possible is critical.
Okay. All right. I have one last question for you. Let's say there's a set of parents or folks that don't have children and they want to adopt, but they have no idea where to start. Where do you start for, husband and wife?
Kidstolove.org.
Pardon?
Kidstolove.org.
Okay. All right. Ms. Martin, where do you start?
I think I'm an unusual case because I already worked in the system, so I knew how to access it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the internet.
Dr. Font?
Yeah, so I will say, you can easily Google options like in your area and find which agencies will license families and conduct home studies. The real challenge is figuring out which agencies are really high quality and supportive, and I think provide the quality of training that they'll need to be successful. Unfortunately, a lot of families who are interested in adoption and even initiate the process never complete it because of barriers in terms of agency responsiveness, lack of training, and lack of support.
Okay. Ms. McLean?
Yes, I will say the internet is a great tool, but also there's a lot that doesn't go on well there. And so we are seeing one of our issues is making adoption more ethical, including reducing fraudulent advertising of services and making sure that families are connected to licensed agencies that have the regulations and procedures in place to make it a safe and responsible adoption.
So you don't have to start with a lawyer.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's strong parental support systems across the country of adoptive parents that, are able to give the kind of information not on the internet that are ethical and are safe.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Now yield back.